the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida, and we're a federally recognized tribe in the state of Florida. And I guess what it means to be a part of the Miccosukee Tribe, there's a couple different things. There's the traditional understanding of our Miccosukee culture, and then there's the contemporary organization that we've created, our tribal government. So there's a couple of responsibilities and duties to that as well. But I guess what it means to be a part of the Miccosukee Tribe is to remember that we have traditional teachings and laws and customs that we follow. And our laws and our customs are also kind of specific to what clan, what family that we're a part of. So to be a part of the Miccosukee Tribe means that it's about speaking the language, it's about being connected to the land, it's about being connected to our family and respecting each other as such. And what else? Also, I think it's about like having a relationship with the earth, because that's also part of our teachings as well. So those are just some of the ways that I can begin to think about what it means to be a part of the Miccosukee Tribe. And again, my family is the Otter clan. There's a bunch of different families. There's a bunch of different clans that make up the tribe. So just think about the tribe as being made up of a number of different clans. And so I'm from the Otter clan. It's important to know that the Two-Spirit movement is not something that was traditionally part of my community, the Miccosukee Tribe. It's a movement, it's a community of indigenous folks all across Turtle Island that I contacted and became a part of. And I brought back those teachings to my community. And what the teachings are is it's about gender diversity. And there's a number of tribes that have traditions of gender diversity. So what this movement is about is reconnecting with the diverse traditions of gender that the tribes have. And since it's a traditional understanding, it's about getting back to our roots and being informed by our spiritual teachings as a gender diverse person and being inspired by those teachings in today's world. So it's about being Two-Spirit is about gender diversity and upholding our culture. And this idea of gender diversity, it's remembering Two-Spirit people teach that people have the potential for masculinity and femininity within all of us. So how can we find a balance for that? How can we find our authentic expressions of gender and our identities as whatever gender is appropriate for us? Part of it too. Gender diversity, traditional culture, and being a part of today's world as well. Cool thing about my community is that they've been kind of like leaders in strengthening and expressing this idea of sovereignty, which is like political power, which is the ability to make laws in our land according to our customs. So because of that, and because of federal legislation, because the federal government has a responsibility to Indian tribes. Look at all the land that the United States sits on, Indian land. So as long as the United States is sitting on that land, they owe us promises. And for each tribe is different. For my tribe, one of those promises is to keep the land in the natural state. So we've been able to use federal laws like the Clean Water Act to get treatment as a state. And what that means is that we can pass our own water laws on our lands. And that's big because everything that's upstream that flows onto Miccosukee lands has to meet our standards. And like because of that, the Miccosukee Tribe was the first organization to set a target for Everglades restoration. Like, how do we know we're cleaning up the water? What's the target? What are we measuring? And the Miccosukee Tribe said phosphorus at 10 parts per billion is the target. So the Miccosukee Tribe has water quality laws, flows and levels, non-point source pollution management. So they're pretty like heavy duty players when it comes to environmental and conservation efforts. And that's because of the treatment as a state, the federal laws, and just because we advocate for it. The water laws that we have also make references to other species. So we protect the animals through the water laws, and we also protect our traditional customs through the water laws as well. Definitely, we consider ourselves like the traditional viewpoint is that we're a part of nature, like we're not separate from it. So like we all find different ways of relating to that, like Miccosukee Tribe, Seminole Tribe. There's also a tribe that's not federally recognized. We call them the independent community. And like there's medicine out there, there's food out there, like we go hunting or we grow our gardens. There's things to learn out there that only you can learn on the land. Like we learn so much from the trees and the animals and the water. And so it's about deep listening as well. So yeah, we all rely on the Everglades. Whenever the Everglades is thriving, like our cultures are thriving. And it turns out that in that view, like indigenous rights are everybody's rights, because if you can support the native people with their environmental concerns, that means the Everglades is going to be able to support all of Florida and all the people that depend on that water. So indigenous rights are everybody's rights. I don't know, because I'm so like plugged into the media. So I kind of get swayed by the propaganda of media, and I don't know too much what the community actually thinks. Especially like if you're reading the comment section of articles. Oh my God, don't go there, because comment section of articles is definitely juvenile, is definitely immature, and it's definitely a place for racism to be like thrown out there so easily. And that's what gets me down a lot. Like when because I am also involved in the media and like putting news articles out there and working with the press. So I every now and then get a chance to read those comments. But what those comments would tell me about the Miccosukee Tribe is basically that the Miccosukee Tribe is swimming in money. They have no cares in the world. All their problems are solved. Why should we have sympathy or compassion for them? So um, rich and greedy, and they're doing good. Leave them alone. That's one misconception I get. And I get that regularly too, like just in my everyday life. I'll be in an elevator and somebody will be like, hey, you have a casino, all your problems are solved. Good for you. I'm like, but yeah, what about the Everglades? What about my language? What about the land that the little piece of land that my community is squished onto? So that's one misconception, that we have money and all our problems are solved. The other one is that drug crazed alcoholics is another stereotype that's out there. Oh, and power hungry. That, for example, you read some of the articles, you'll see like Miccosukee cop dramas and kidnappings and this, that, and the other. So people are very critical of our justice system, saying that it's like amateur or Mickey Mouse or not worth it. So those are some misconceptions that I struggle with. And what can we do about it? I guess what we're doing about it is inviting people to come to know us, like come to our festivals. We're also storytelling in the media, so opening up a little bit more. And that's pretty big, like telling our own stories. Because so like right now, like everybody's trying to talk about us, but when are we talking for ourselves? So learning about our agency as communicators and what communications methods are available to us and taking charge of that. There was a project that the Miccosukee Tribe had a number of years that I worked on called Miccosukee Magazine TV, and it was instrumental in telling our side of the story, like what our priorities are as a nation, as a community, and as clans. So, and as neighbors to Miami, and as part of the South Florida community. So I guess opening up invitations, telling our own stories, I think go a long way. And also just brushing it off. Like we just got to brush that off. Like there's a phrase that my Cuban friends taught me, merespala. Merespala. Like, it's just gonna like flow off like water off a duck's back, you know. So like that, sometimes you just gotta let that shit slide. Like these are just punks. They don't know any better. Let it slide. Like why dignify it with a response? Give a like touch on the idea of reconciliation, truth and reconciliation, because I go to Canada a lot to attend an Indigenous film festival called Imagine Native. And going there for the past 10 years, like I've learned how First Nations people are dealing with the process of truth and reconciliation in Canada and their criticisms of it. Um, so it was only recently that I learned that we have an American context for truth and reconciliation here. Like, who knew that the United States actually apologized to the Native peoples already for all the injustice and genocide and colonization that happened? Like, what kind of meaningful apology is it when nobody knows about it? When the United States never delivered that to the Native people, just kind of sneakily published it in some federal legislation. People, two-spirit people, gender diverse people, whether you're indigenous or not, we have a seat at the table, and we must be able to talk about matters of life and death, as well as joy too, because we've got something to say about it as two-spirit people, as non-binary people, as LGBTQ people. So we demand a space at the table to talk about these matters. And again, I would like to say that it, like, making a colorful ruckus makes life worthwhile. So infuse your arts, infuse your activism with the arts, infuse your arts in everything, because it brings us so much joy, it brings us so much healing. And I guess I look forward to seeing you all somewhere deep in the greater Everglades very soon. Thank you. In Miccosukee, we don't say bye, we say until we meet again. See you later.